Hello. Today we're going to learn how to tune a guitar electronically. I'm assuming that you're brand new to guitar and you've never done this before. And so before we get started, there's 4 things that we should go over. First, the kinds of tuners that are available to you. Second, the names of your strings, which is really important. Third, some simple terminology that'll help you follow along. And fourth, a few things that you shouldn't do. Now, let's get started. Right. So the first thing is the kinds of tuners that are available to you. The first type that we have is what we call a microphone-based tuner, and it's exactly what it says. It has a microphone built in. This one has a microphone built in right here, and if I play a string, the name of the string shows up in a little meter showing you whether it's in tune or not. Pretty simple. If you're using an app on your phone, on a smartphone, this is the one that I use, Guitar Toolkit. Pretty cool. It is also a microphone-based tuner. It is using the microphone for your phone to tune the string. You can see that meter there. When it's up at 0, that means the string's in tune. The other type of tuner that you're going to run into is what we call a sensor-based tuner. This is the one that I use. It is a snark. Typically, what a sensor-based tuner does is it straps onto your guitar somewhere, usually the headstock, and it uses vibration to measure the string and whether or not it's in tune. And according to this, it was a little bit out of tune. Anyways, there's pros and cons to both. They're both useful. The setback for the microphone type tuner is that it uses the sound of the room. And so if there's any ambient noises going on, anything loud, it's going to interfere with your tuning. That is actually the pro of this type of tuner. It doesn't use the room, it actually just uses vibration. So you can be in very loud situations like backstage, or in my case, I'm in a music studio, so there's music going on, pianos and guitars and everything in the other rooms, and it doesn't affect me, and so I'm able to tune accurately. And yeah, so this is what I use. The next thing we need to look at is string names. In order to do that, I'm going to hold my guitar up like this so we can have a little bit closer look. So going from the right-hand side here, or the top of your guitar, the big fat string, to the high string, or the small string over here, they go as follows. It's E, A, D, G, B, E. Now there's an old saying, I did not invent it. It's probably in every how to tune guitar video ever made. And the saying is, Edward ate dynamite, goodbye Edward. It's an acronym, helps you remember the string names. So just once again, that's E, A, D, G, B, E. Edward ate dynamite, goodbye Edward. It's really important to memorize those string names. You'll see why here in just a minute. Next, we need to look at terminology. 2 words to be exact, sharp and flat. Sharp is when the string is too high, and we need to loosen it to get it down to the proper tuning. Flat means that the string is too low and we need to tighten it. There's symbols that are used for each of these. The sharp symbol is a tic-tac-toe or hashtag symbol, and the flat symbol looks like a really fancy lowercase b. The next thing to cover is a few things that we shouldn't do. I'm going to use my tuner for this example. As we first start tuning guitars, one thing that we tend to do is strike the strings obsessively, trying to get that sound into our tuner. And what that does is it causes other strings to vibrate, and it confuses the tuner a lot of times. And so it's best to just let that string, just to strike it once, and let that string ring while you're turning the tuners and tightening up the thing. Once it dies out, strike it again and just let it ring until it stops. The second thing that we need to avoid doing is turning these tuners without striking the string first. Generally speaking, these tuners on most guitars these days are very easy to turn, and you can't tell how tight the string's getting. You can easily break it if you can't hear it. And so it's best to strike the string so you can hear how low or high it's getting. And if the higher it gets, the tighter it's getting. If it gets too high, it's going to break. So striking the string first will help you avoid breaking strings. Now we're going to go ahead and turn this tuner on here so that you can see the screen. And the very first thing to note is that when I strike a string on the guitar, the string name shows up on the screen right here. So this kind of takes us back to the importance of knowing our string names. This tuner tunes to any note in the musical alphabet. And that means that I can accidentally tune my string to the wrong note. So the first thing I want to notice when I strike a string and I'm looking at my tuner is to note that the note that I need is there. So for example, if I was tuning the E string and it was too tight, I might have an F show up. If I wasn't paying attention, I could tune that perfectly fine to be an F, but when I get done and I try playing my guitar, it's going to sound terrible. So the first thing that you always notice is what note is there. I'm going to go ahead and loosen that back up so that it's an E. The second thing to look at is actually the meter, how it works. So I'm striking the low E string right now, and you'll notice that my E shows up there, but you'll also notice that it's over here to the right a little bit. It's a semicircle meter here, and over here in the right, if it's in that yellow area or over to the right, that is actually sharp. That means that I need to lower or loosen the string to bring it down and get it in tune. When it hits perfectly green right there in the middle like that, let me tune it back up just a little bit. That's actually tuned, okay? If it's down here in the red, over on this side of the meter, the left-hand side of the meter, that means that the string is too loose and I need to tighten it up to get there. So generally speaking, what I like to do is, whether my string's low or tight or low, I like to loosen it down below the note just a little bit and then work my way back up until I get that green. I went a little too far there. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and detune my guitar a little bit. And I'm going to tune it up for you to kind of give you a demonstration. So I'm starting with the low E string here. I'm going to go ahead and strike the string. And you'll see that it shows a D with a tic-tac-toe symbol next to it. That's a D sharp. D comes before E in the alphabet, so that means that I need to tighten my string up to get to E. So I'm just going to pluck my string and tighten until I see the E show up there. Now we're still a little bit over here on the left, so that's still a little flat. I'm going to tighten that up until it gets in the green. That's pretty good. Moving on to the next string, which would be A, Edward 8. So I'm going to go ahead, and that's an A, but it's a little bit sharp. So because it's a little bit sharp, I'm actually going to loosen it up below. It's always best to end on a tightening note, and so now I'm going to tighten it back up to the A. It's in the green, that's pretty good. Okay, moving on to the next string, which is D, Edward 8, Dynamite. So that shows a C sharp, A, B, C, D. C sharp is before D in the alphabet, so I need to tighten this string to get to D. So right here, I'm actually, did you see how it kind of goes across when it was a C sharp? It was a kind of a sharp C sharp, if that makes sense. And then it comes back around when it hits the D. And as I'm tightening this up, it's going to move into that green. Good to go. Now moving on to the next string at the bottom. And the furthest one out at the bottom, that's going to be your G string. Now something to note if your guitar is built this way and you have 3 tuners down, 3 tuners up, the bottom one's the direction of tightening is going to flip over because it's a worm gear. And so keep that in mind. I'm striking the G now. It says F. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So F becomes before G. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this string up until I see a G show up on my meter. And then I'm just going to keep on going until I get to the green there. Moving on to the next one, which should be the middle one in the bottom, which is B, Edward 8, Dynamite, Goodbye. And that shows C, A, B, C. That's actually before, or after B. And so that means we need to loosen this string. See that there? Now we got a B. I'm going to loosen it past just a little bit. I'll work my way back up. There we go. And then E. D sharp, A, B, C, D, E. So I need to tighten up to get the E. And that's a tuned guitar. Just double check them real fast. See how a few of those, as they have just a little bit of something showing. Your tuners are always the meter's always gonna be wiggling a little bit, and that's okay. That's a pretty tuned guitar. Sounds good. I've had a lot of people ask me how often you should tune your guitar, and the answer is every single time you pick it up. If you're playing a lot, you may want to tune it a few times while you're playing, just to make sure it stays in tune. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like it, please take the time to like, subscribe, ring the bell thingy, and then head on over to my Patreon site and become a patron. Thanks so much.